Hey friend, welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Today is part one of a two-part series where I'm going to talk about the different types of clients that we encounter as professional organizers. This is something that I wish someone would have told me in the beginning, that there are so many different types of clients. What are the different types of clients and how can I coach them? And what are some tips that I can use to work with them as a professional organizer to help them along on their journey to reach their goals? The reason that I got to thinking about this is because recently I've worked with quite a few different types of clients, and it got me thinking, with the academy that I've created at proorganizerzacademy.com, I have the steps to help you start your business and launch your website. So now I have also added the course, How to Work with Clients as a Professional Organizer. And with launching that course, I have had to go back and look through all sorts of things that I put in the course for you that I wish someone would have taught me in the beginning. So things like the client journey, how to price my services, building strong foundations, following up with leads, the phone call, the consultation, the sessions, maintenance, working with clients with using life coaching, how to order products, like so many things, before and after photos. The list goes on and on of the things that I have put in the How to Work with Clients as a Professional Organizer course. Now, I want you to know that is what got me thinking about I need to create an episode that talks about the different types of clients that I've encountered as a professional organizer. So this is part one of a two-part series because there are so many different types of clients, and I'm sure there's some that I've not even thought of or that I didn't put in this list. But I put 10 different types of clients in this list that are going to help you understand, wait, each client I work with is uniquely themselves. What type of client are they? How can I help them? What are their challenges? What are some coaching questions that I can ask them? And as an organizer, what are some tips that I can give them to help them along their journey to reach their goal, to understand their why, and all of the things? So I truly hope that this episode and part two, the next episode, blesses you. Make sure to subscribe so you get notified when part two comes out next week. And go to proorganizerzacademy.com so you can see the steps that I have to help you start your business, launch your website, work with clients, and have a group coaching community that's going to support you along every step of the journey, so you don't ever have to feel alone as a female entrepreneur starting, creating, and growing your business. All right, let's jump into part one of the types of clients we work with as a professional organizer. I'm Samantha Brown, professional organizer, decluttering specialist, and business coach. I created Pro Organizers Coach podcast to empower you to reach new heights in your business. I am on a mission to build a supportive sisterhood of passionate professional organizers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started, this podcast is for you. Let's talk about number one, the sentimental keeper. So for the clients that are sentimental keepers, their emotional tie is that they have deep attachments to memories, people, milestones. And then their challenges are that they struggle to part with anything emotionally significant, especially gifts or heirlooms, things that have been given to them that were their grandparents. Like, they have a very hard time parting with gifts. So for the sentimental keeper clients, the best approach is to definitely honor their stories, use memory boxes, choose to display a few special items, and allow them space for their storytelling. Good coaching questions for them. What story does this item tell? Is there another way to honor this memory without keeping the item? What would you tell a friend who was struggling to let go of something similar? And another coaching question could be, how does this item support or clutter the life that you are trying to create now? So just helping them to talk through, is this item worth keeping? And if it is it something that you're actually going to use? Like, does it have to be displayed? Can we put it in storage? And what is the goal? Like helping them to remember their why of why they called a professional organizer and the goals that they're trying to create, the new space and how they want to use their space. Does that item and keeping that item in that space or keeping that item at all, does that support their vision of their future of what they are trying to create in that space? So some organizer tips: be very gentle with the sentimental keepers. Let them talk, because the more they can talk it through, a lot of times they will talk themselves out of keeping it or into, oh, well, maybe, Aunt Susie would love to have this, right? And so just letting them talk, maybe offering soft alternatives like taking a photo, writing about the memory, or keeping one item or just a couple of items to represent many. Like if it's a client that has all of their grandmother's jackets or something, then you could say, okay, well, is there any way that we could pick one or two of your favorites and then release the rest of them? And there are definitely some tips in some of the other clients that I'm going to talk about that also will help with the sentimental keeper. A lot of clients that call me are sentimental keepers. And so a lot of the other tips that I'm going to talk about in today's episode and part 2 of this are going to be helpful with the sentimental keeper as well. All right, number 2, the overwhelmed avoider. Their emotional tie, they are stressed, they have anxiety and guilt tied to their clutter and the pressure to fix it. Their challenges are that they feel paralyzed and they don't know where to start. Then they cycle between shame and inaction. The best approach with the overwhelmed avoider is to start small, a drawer, a corner. Make sure you celebrate those micro wins, the very small wins. You want to celebrate like crazy and help them start to build that momentum of releasing items and of making decisions. And you want to focus on reducing the shame and pressure with them. So some coaching questions are, what's one small space that we can tackle right now? What are you feeling when you walk into this room? What would feel like a win by the end of our time together today? And what's been stopping you from starting before? You want to use short time blocks with the overwhelmed avoider. You want to keep the energy very light and encouraging. Maybe ask them what their favorite music is and turn that on. Not loud, but just enough to where you can hear it. So that way it kind of, puts some good energy into the room. And then you want to remind them, forward is forward, even one step. So as long as you're taking one step at a time and focusing on that step, that is something to celebrate. That is a win. So you want to make sure to focus on the fact and celebrate the fact that they are taking those steps. You want to be so excited for them because learning to declutter and organize is kind of like working out. It's like your muscles. Like once you start to build those muscles and you start to build the momentum and you start to get a schedule, it gets easier and easier and easier. And so you have to start small. You have to help teach them. You have to give them plenty of space to quote unquote make mistakes and reconfigure later. It doesn't have to be perfect for them because they've been avoiding it and they're just overwhelmed by it. Progress is progress. So celebrate the fact that they are making progress. Do not focus on the fact that it needs to be perfect, because for a lot of them, that is why they have shame and pressure, is because they're so overwhelmed by the fact that they don't know how to make it perfect or keep it perfect. So then they just do nothing. And they feel very overwhelmed and ashamed by that. So make sure that you are very gentle and that you are, again, just helping them to understand, like, it's okay. We can do this one step at a time. I'm here with you. We are going to figure this out together. Don't look at the other stuff here. Focus back on what we're working on right now, what's right in front of you. And the other thing for these clients, and a lot of the clients that I'm talking about in these 2 episodes, when you are an organizer, especially when you're helping people with the decluttering part of organizing, you want to move stuff out of their way. So what I mean by this is if a client's already made a decision, and I'm not sure if you've heard of me talk about this before or not, but with my clients, I just ask them, keep or release. If they say release, I will decide if it's trash or donation. That way they're not having to decide if it's keep, then trash or donation or recycle. Like, no, is it keep or release for them? And then I tell them, listen, I'll decide which bag it goes in of the trash or donations, right? And so they decide if it's keep or release. But then as we're going through, instead of me keeping all of the stuff that they've already made decisions on right there in front of their face, I start moving stuff out as often as I possibly can, or at least putting it over kind of in the corner out of their line of sight. It does 2 things when I go ahead and start pulling the stuff out once the bags start to fill up. One is it keeps me from having to carry out all of these bags at the end of the session, so it's easier on my body. But number 2, it's easier on them because they can start to see the progress. They can start to see things getting, out of the way. So the space starts to feel lighter and brighter because items are getting out of there. And it helps them not be so overwhelmed because there's not so many things in their face for them to get distracted by. It helps them stay focused. So those are some tips that I have for a lot of the clients that I'm talking about. All right, number 3, let's talk about the perfectionist. For our perfectionist clients, their emotional tie is fear of failure or criticism, and they want to get it, quote unquote, right or not at all. For them, it's 100% or nothing, but everything needs to be 100%, right? Like for them, the perfectionist, it's not good enough until it's fully done, all the way down to the labels. Every single thing has a home. Like they are very specific about how they want their stuff done. So their challenges sometimes is that they won't start unless the plan is perfect. Like they want to know all of the details before you even get started. And when working with those clients, that's when helping them understand that like, hey, we're going to take this one step at a time. I'm going to get you there. We will have a plan. And I tell them a lot of times this is like a slide puzzle. Like sometimes you go to move it one place and you realize, wait, I actually need to move it to another spot. And in the sense of it being a puzzle, sometimes you don't know exactly what the plan is until you get into the weeds of it. Like you've got to declutter. And then as you start to organize, you may realize, oh, this stuff actually makes more sense in this other closet that we just cleared out. So let's move this into that closet. And then that other stuff needs to come into this space. It literally is like a slide puzzle. But when you're doing your consultation or the phone call with them, they want all of the details right then. And so helping them understand that you will get them there, that you have a plan, but the plan is taking it one step at a time, that you don't know what that's going to look like until you get in there and start actually pulling stuff out, figuring out what can go, and then figuring out what needs to go where. Their challenge of the plan needs to be perfect ahead of time. And then they also can get stuck in overthinking and comparing. And so some of those clients are very hard to work with, but as soon as you can earn their trust and help them understand, listen, I will get you there, just trust me, but let's go ahead and start going through the process of one step at a time. And then the best approach for them is to normalize the imperfect progress, like I was just saying. The progress is there. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better, but it'll get better if we keep going. It takes a little bit longer than you think, but as long as we keep going through, we will get you there to the perfectly organized space that you're wanting. And then sometimes creating starter systems for them is a good approach. Like, hey, let's get this set up as best we can right now. And then in the next session, we will pick right back up where we left off. And helping them learn to take imperfect action. For them, helping them understand that we're human. Not all action is going to be 100% perfect, even though we're organizers. We don't have the answers from the very beginning. That's not how this works. Because once we start opening totes and once we start looking behind doors, there's going to be a lot more stuff there than what they even half of the time realize. So helping them understand again, taking it one step at a time, just keeping the momentum going, that it will get there as long as you keep going, but that we've got to take action to start getting the process there. And that action can be quote unquote imperfect, that's okay, and it's actually part of the process. So some coaching questions for the perfectionist clients. What would quote unquote good enough for now look like? How might this feel if it didn't have to be perfect? How is perfectionism helping or hurting your peace? That's a huge one for them, because when they start getting anxious and worked up, and this is why it's important to ask our clients, either on the phone call or during the consultation, their why. Because when you get in those moments of being able to say, hey, the fact that you're wanting to have all of this, like know the answer right now, is that like making you more anxious, or is it actually giving you peace? And just talking that through with them, but being able to bring them back to the why. Maybe their why is because, they want to be able to have their grandkids come over. And so in their mind, it has to be perfect before their family can come see it. So bringing them back to the why of you want to create a space that your family loves to come over and enjoy. Well, let's start getting this going so we can get you to that why, and you can start enjoying this space with your family, and helping them to just kind of calm down and go back to their why instead of focusing so much on, oh my gosh, it's not perfect right now. I need to know the plan. What's the next step? Why aren't we doing this? Calming it down. Remember your why, and it's okay. We're going to get it there. And then you could also ask them if they're starting to freak out, or instead of asking them that, you could kind of tell them, hey, the first step is decluttering. We've got to get this stuff out of here that can go, but that's just the first version of this. We are going to come back in at our next session and get this more organized, or, whatever that looks like. But helping them understand that the first version does not mean it's finished and that it's not wrong. It's just the first step of a multiple step process to get fully organized, that it takes time and it takes multiple steps. So your organizer tips for the perfectionist: encourage them on their effort. You want to encourage the small progress. You want to avoid too many options, because simplicity builds confidence. And so for them, the little smaller stuff that you can get done, or maybe, working in a smaller area before getting pulled into another area. Sometimes for them, they need to see that the perfection of a room can be completed before moving to another space. Now, for some of our clients, we don't get it 100% finished in one room before we move to another because of the puzzle thing, like I was talking about with the last type of client. But for the perfectionist, sometimes they need to see in a space. So sometimes you do have to fully get one space 100% done, all the way down to the labels and whatever their goal is for that space, before moving on to the next space, so they can feel good about the fact that, okay, this room is done. And then I tell them, hey, if you're feeling stressed out when you're in this room that we haven't done yet, go to the room that we have done. It'll give you peace. It'll help you breathe. We're getting there, I promise. So far, we have gone over the sentimental keeper, the overwhelmed avoider, and then the perfectionist. And the last one that I want to go over on today's episode is the deal saver. But I paid 75 cents for that, or I paid $2.75 for that 10 years ago, and now today it's $15. I hear that a lot. How people remember the exact amount that they spent on an item blows my mind. Like I have no clue what I spent on most items in my home. And for some clients, they know how much they spent on every single item in their home. So for them, the deal saver, their emotional tie, they get excitement over deals, even if they don't need to buy it, just the fact that it's on sale, they get excited. They have a fear of wasting something, and then they have guilt around the money that's already spent. So as you start working with them, their challenges are that they want to keep items because they were a bargain. They got it for a deal or it was free. Somebody gave it to them, not because it's useful or needed. That doesn't even enter their mind. For them, it's, oh my gosh, but it was a bargain. Like I got such a deal on that. Everything's a deal. So the best approach for our deal saver clients is to reframe value as having peace over price. So for instance, it's helping them understand why did you call, again, back to the why. Why did you call me in to help you? Remember when we talked about your why, you really wanted to clear the clutter and, whatever their why was. So having that peace because you're getting stressed out because you have so much stuff, it's because you're focusing, like that money's already been spent. So now can we please pass it along to be a blessing to someone else because your blessing has now become your burden. And for a lot of my clients, they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. And with these clients, there is a lot of coaching that is involved. So for them, it's another good idea to set limits, like on bins or shelves, like a set amount of space. Like if they want to keep whatever the topic is, their kids' artwork, like even though they didn't buy those are more for the sentimental keepers, I guess. But the shampoo that they bought, I don't know, whatever it is, create kind of a contained space of, hey, we only have this much space. So could we maybe pick the ones that are your favorites to keep them in this space? And that's how many we keep. What are your thoughts on that? And then talk it through with them. The coaching questions for them are things like, if you had to pay full price for this again today, would you still want this item? And a lot of times their answer is no. They would not want to pay full price for that item today. Okay, great. So are you actually using this item or do you plan on using this item? And a lot of times they will say yes, even if the answer is no. And that's okay. We can't force our clients to get rid of stuff, but we can help talk them through, is this deal that you got serving the life that you are wanting to live and the reason you called me in, or is it cluttering up your life today? And most of the time the answer is it's cluttering up your life. Okay, well, what would it look like to bless someone else with this item then? What would it look like to release it? These clients love the word release. And keeping this item, is it saving you money or costing you your time and space? So it's helping them redirect in their mind like, oh, wait, yes, I saved money on it. But again, what blessed me 10 years ago or however long ago is now becoming a burden because I am having to spend money to maintain it. I'm having to give up my peace to maintain it because it's stressing me out every time I see it. It's costing me the space in my home that I would actually like to be using for a craft room or whatever. And when you help them to start reframing their thoughts that way, that is when for them, they're like, oh, you're right. Okay, I agree. It can go. So as an organizer for these types of clients, right, the deal savers, we want to celebrate their resourcefulness. Like, that's amazing that you got such a good deal on this. And then redirect their thoughts. And again, instead of what they are losing, talking more about what they are gaining from releasing it. You want to avoid judgment. You just want to invite reflection. You just want to open up the conversation and ask it in a way that helps them start to think about it and reframe it in their mind differently. No judgment. Like I say that to them, no judgment. I'm honestly just curious. So you want to come with a curious attitude and heart when you're asking these questions and coaching them through. And a huge piece for these clients and for a lot of clients that I have found, especially for the sentimental keepers, the deal savers, for a lot of them, I will ask them, hey, like I could either take this to our local donation center, but if I found like a homeless shelter or your local church or a family that's had a fire, if we found a specific place that you knew who it was going to instead of it just being to a donation center that's very general, would that help you release this item? And 99% of the time they say yes. The second they know who it's going to or the purpose that it's going to that means something to them, they will start releasing items left and right, when before it was like pulling teeth trying to get them to let go of anything. And again, once you can start building that momentum with them, then you can then you start to see the progress, right? And then they start to see the change in their lives. And that is when you get the magic of what it's like to work with an organizer, especially the ones of us that are focusing on decluttering and coaching our clients just as much as we are working on the organizing side. All right, so that is 1 through 4. Let me tell you what the ones I'm going to talk about in our next episode. We're going to talk about the busy bee. We are going to talk about the minimalist at heart, the emotional purchaser, and then the just in case keeper. And just recently, I had one of my new organizers inside of the membership. She actually asked, hey, how do I work with clients that have ADHD? Like what questions do I ask them? Like what are the best ways to work with them? And it got me thinking. Inside of the membership, I have one member that has been diagnosed with ADHD later in life, and she works with clients that have ADHD. And then I also have another member that she focuses on working with clients with chronic disorganization. And so I thought it would be great. I'm going to talk a little bit about those two types of clients as well, because those are important topics to talk about and will definitely be in the next episode. But I want to make sure that you understand, I'm going to keep it very high level and just kind of, talk about it briefly. But then coming down the pipeline, I'm definitely going to have both of those women on the show so we can go in and dive deeper specifically into how to work with ADHD clients, and then also when we're working with chronically disorganized clients, because both of those types of clients are the types of clients that we run into a lot. All of these are. All 10 types of clients I have on here are the different types of clients that we work with. But it is good. So the more that you can learn about ADHD or being chronically disorganized, and the more skills you can learn about how to work with them, the better you're going to be as an organizer. Even if you don't work with specifically those, like you don't specialize in working with those clients, like you will learn so much about all the different types of clients and the ways that you can help all of them by learning some tips and tricks on how to work with ADHD clients and our chronically disorganized clients. So those are the clients we're going to talk about in the next episode. Again, make sure if you've gotten any value out of this episode, please go and give me a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. Make sure to go to the links in the show notes to see how I can help you, and go to the academy, because with the courses that I have to help you start your organizing business, create a website that converts in 5 days, and then now how to work with clients as a professional organizer, 2 of those courses bring you into the membership, and you get 3 months free of our group coaching community, which is a huge value add that is something you want to be a part of. Like having a group of women that are doing the same thing you are doing, that is huge. If you have already started, you're like, Samantha, I don't need, any of the courses. You can still go to the academy to find out how to join us in the group coaching community, because just this month we have our workshop, because every month I bring in a guest expert to teach us something specific as a professional organizer. And right now we've been focusing on closets. So I'm having someone from a closet company come in, and they are going to show us their back end, like their CAD system, and the ways that they help their clients create the closet systems. So that way we can understand how we can present ourselves to partner with closet companies. And that way we can figure out how they're working so we can be an add-on for our clients. The more we know about how some of these other businesses are working, the better that we can serve our clients, and the more that we can grow our business. And so it's very important that we know that. I also have a lady coming down the pipeline that has a closet design course. Like, she teaches closet design as a professional organizer. So I'm really excited about having her on. I'm also in talks with someone that specifically teaches about ADHD. I also have a member inside of the group coaching community that I want to have here on the podcast that we are going to talk about ADHD. She is a professional organizer that has ADHD, and she works with clients with ADHD. And that is a huge part of the community that a lot of us are serving, is either the ADHD clients, the chronically disorganized, not hoarders, but they're just chronically disorganized. And those clients that truly need our help and that are out there, those are the ones that I love. I love working with those clients. Now, I love all of my clients, but those are my favorite because they're so thankful just to have the help, and they see the value, and they want to learn, and they want to grow, and they love having the help. And when you leave those sessions, you know you have just made a huge difference in someone's life. And so we're going to dive into that in some upcoming episodes, and so much more coming down the pipeline. I've just recreated the academy, so go check that out, and I will see you in part 2. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to proorganizerscoach.com to find all the ways that we can help you succeed in your business. Remember, you have the power to make a difference in people's lives through decluttering and organization. So keep honing your skills, embracing those challenges, and fostering connections. Girl, you've got this.